Hi, good afternoon everyone. I hope you're not sleepy after the afternoon out there. So let me just introduce myself just a little bit. I'm Titin Hernawan. I'm currently working for Bank DBS, Bank DBS Indonesia, where actually I got the chance to do lots of cool stuff, working together with the fintech companies in Indonesia, collaborating for the more financial products and financial solutions for customers. And other than that, I am actually driving the digital payments for DBS in the DigiBank by DBS, as well as I am doing the business planning for DigiBank. So today I'm going to be the moderator for the Payment Spotlight, Banking on Innovation in Digital Payments, where we will be talking more over what are the current landscape, opportunities and challenges to digitize payment in Indonesia. Perhaps before we start, I would like just to bring a context on the payments itself. Indonesia is a very big country. We have 17,000 islands spanning from the east to the west, and it is a home for more than 270 million people in Indonesia. We believe that Indonesia is one of the fastest digital transformation in the world, supported by the high penetration of the internet. We have around 200 million internet users in the country, and most of them are spending 9 hours per day to be online. And just to add to, digitalization has entered all spheres of our everyday life, and the world of finance is no exception at all. Indonesia cash was once very heavy, and we used to pay everything with cash, like for instance from grocery shopping to even parking fees. However, based on the WorldPay Global Payments Report by FIS, the use of cash as a payment method in POS decreased from 77% in 2022 into only 53% in only 1 year. We believe that the reduction of these digital payments is amplified by the pandemic that is changing how we live, and of course, the introduction of the quiz itself. And it is supported by the strong play by the digital players like the digital wallet, digital banks, as well as the BNPL. Even though we see that cash is dropping, but cash still remains. It's not dead yet. It still indicates that the cash still a vital payments method for Indonesia, perhaps from the unbanked segment itself. And today, we are going to discuss with these two of our distinguished panelists on how might we, especially banks, drive more digitization in payments due to the challenges, and how the industry be able to push more digitization by focusing on the customer needs and pain points. And furthermore, what the future of payments will look like. Maybe before we start, I would like to ask James and Kevin to have a bit introduction of yourself.
Sure. Thank you. I'm pleasure being here. So, my name is James. I've worked with HSBC for 15 years, and I've been very fortunate. I've worked all across the world, in Asia, Middle East, North America, Europe, and now back to Asia. And my career has really had three sort of broad areas to it. I spent a large part of my career in commercial banking, sitting in front of customers, lending money, leading teams of relationship managers. And I think this was very useful, giving me fundamentals, an understanding of the fundamentals of banking. I also did a large part of my career in strategy and transformation at an MBA at business school. And I sort of brought those two strands together to focus my career in the COO space, learning more about digital technology operations and other elements of transformation. Initially within the COO of commercial banking, then country COO for HSBC in Qatar, and as of a year and a half ago, we moved to Indonesia. I'm here with my wife and two kids. We're very, very privileged to live here and enjoying the country very much.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your time as well. My name is Kevin. I'm from Amar Bank. Maybe for those who do not know what is Amar Bank is, so we are one of the pioneers in implementing digital banking for the retail customer. We started with our digital lending product called Tunaiku, or in English is actually my cash, which is we provide unsecured loan digitally back in 2014. And in 2020, we launched our digital banking as well, called Singapore, or in English is actually my smart. Now we are having these two products as our so-called signature product to serve the retail customer, especially the consumer customer. Thank you.
Thank you, James and Kevin. Perhaps I will start to discuss about the digitalization challenges and opportunities in Asia on cash payment, on the digital payment. Kevin, we have seen the digital transformation in our everyday life, where actually digital technologies are creating new or modifying existing business processes and customer experiences just to meet the changing of the market behavior. In payment industry itself, banks as established player have legacy business process and technology. What would be the key challenges to digitize payments, and what would be the main opportunities in digital payments itself?
Okay, thank you for the question. So I will answer the challenge into three segments. The first one is from the banking perspective itself. Second one is from the customer perspective, and last one is from the government side of the regulations. And I'll come back to the patient itself. First, from the banking perspective itself, if you remember, like back before fintech, back before BNPL, back before e-money, e-wallet, and so on and so forth, banking is the only option to the payment, especially the real payment apart from the cash. But then, when these guys coming into picture, these guys coming as a store, meaning like they implementing new thing, implementing new feature, like they don't need, for example, 2 years of development. They only need 3 months. Technical terms, and I believe the developers is here. You guys usually call it like 2-3 sprints, and it's go to productions. And by having that, they are not only can shortcut the GTM time, but also to validate the product, validate the feature, whether the feature or the product they develop actually the one that needed by their customer. I think previously also in the other Fireside chat session, it was mentioned very clearly like, rather than following the other player building something, we should do research to our customer, assure whether the product or the feature that we develop actually what they need, and scaling up from that point of view. So that I think I see some bank doing it already, but I think some of the bank, especially just okay, because there's digitalization, there's this digital banking, digital payment. I don't want to lose the time, I just follow, but they don't exactly know what kind of product, what kind of so-called strength point they would like to offer the customer, and they follow the so-called the development process, which, as I say, like require 1 year of development, 2 years of development, which again you lose the momentum. So that's from the banking perspective, which I see where the other player like fintech or simply non-banking financial industry can better than the banking itself. So that's the challenge from the banking side. Second is the challenge from the customer side itself, from the customer perspective. The one that I see is like we have, as Indonesia, we are the fourth or the fifth biggest country in the world in terms of the number of populations. And in terms of digital payment, there are several challenges that our customers actually facing. One is the one that I see, and actually it's happened very near to myself as well, is not everybody actually open with digital payment or really brave to embrace with digital payment. So for example, even like my mom, she's still asking me to withdraw money from ATM. So as simple as that. And this case, like similar to my mom, but there are still a lot of them. So we still see that kind of customer segment that have that challenge. Like either they are afraid of the technology, they are afraid of the security itself. Like maybe they heard that okay, there are a lot of this account takeover and something like that. So that kind is there. Second is there is an element which, if you have cash, somehow psychologically as a customer you can control it better. I believe like everybody in here, since kids, we were told that we need to save our money. We put our money in this piggy bank or in this envelope, and telling, okay, this is the budget for example, please budget for my, let's say, purchasing something and something. That behavior is easily being done on cash basis, but when it comes to saving account or something like digital, it's very easy to just lose tracking the spending. Meanwhile, in the cash, like if my money in that envelope is done, then it's done. So that's another challenge that I also see from the customer. And last but not least, as I say, though we have that massive populations, do remember also Indonesia has a lot of informal business, meaning a lot of this entrepreneur that actually selling goods in e-commerce, which again, if you ask them to do like real bookkeeping and sort of thing, they don't. Or those project driver, the online project driver, they are so-called entrepreneur, and also if you ask them whether they have that good financial management knowledge, they don't. So these also still not being tapped by either bank or some being tapped by this non-bank, but again, non-bank has its own challenge. They, for example, for e-money, they have a cap maximum amount that they can keep. Some of them has other challenges that they need to solve, not as easy as bank in terms of the flexibility. And last but not least, in terms of the government, yes, pandemic actually pushed the payment, the utilization of the payment. I think what you can say is that usage of cash decreasing from 70% to 50% in only 1 year. That actually being a catalyst. But if you compare it to, for example, China, Russia, where the government actually enforced the digital payment as a main solution to make a payment, the implementation is even faster than us. In our case, our government is not putting that force. Some yes, for example, if you're going to this toll or highway, you can only need to pay with this e-money. But that's, I think, one of the example. But other than that, I think cash existence is still there. Government is not yet pushing that as hard as other country government does. So that also create this opportunity for the players to still using cash for their payment mechanism. And then the question is, okay, we have these three elements of challenges ranging from the bank itself, from the customer perspective, and also from the government. So how can, as a bank or as a players in the industry, we can tackle the challenge? And I believe that this country, as I said, is a very big country. There's a lot of opportunity, and as simple as one pie cannot be owned by one player. So the answer to that is actually how we can collaborate, not only between bank, but also between these digital industry players, with the fintech players, B2B fintech, the e-wallet or e-money players. And yeah, then we can work together to crack this cash payment problem, so that we can onboard this customer, not only using cash, but also going to the digital. I think that's my answer.
Thank you. So may I summarize that actually the opportunity is still huge. However, the challenges, as you can say, that there are three kinds of challenges. The first one is more on the internal. It's more on digital transformation, on the culture of the bank itself. And then second is the acceptance of the customer itself, because it seems like some of them are actually reluctant to use digital because it's not secure. And the last piece is actually on the government. Even though we see that actually there are some improvement in terms of digitization of payments, we see that this is everywhere now. Even if you go to the web market, it's already there. But it is still, if you compare with the other market, like for instance, maybe China, maybe also India several years ago, I think it can even trigger more digitization in payments. Okay, thank you. With the huge opportunities in payment, both for the consumer and business, many tech players are bringing new solutions, either to streamlining payments, facilitating commerce, or even improving customer experiences. James, where do you see Indonesian banks right now in this space? And what would be the key factors for banks to be able to ride on the transformation of the payments?
So I think it's interesting, it ties into some points that Kevin, especially when you were talking about challenges. I always find it harder to keep track of cash. I always use cash. I'm a bit better with digital payments. And I think that's interesting because a lot of what our assumptions around change also across generations. And I think we find the younger generation these days far more cash around cash than perhaps the other. And I thought your point about inclusivity was good. But linking your comments with this question a little bit, I think one of the perspectives you often see about banks these days is to focus too much on the challenges. And there are challenges. You talked about development time and banks tend to be bureaucratic, a little bit longer to deliver. But at the same time, it's important to recognise the strengths. And I think that's why your point about collaboration is so important. I think we're theme this discussion as opposed to it. But when we look at some of the requirements, particularly in the corporate space, and you look at the critical importance of security, resilience, governance, anti-money laundering, fraud, government regulatory engagement. These are embedded strengths within large financial institutions that I think over the last 5-10 years perhaps have been underestimated to a certain extent. And so I think to the question of where are banks today in this transformation process, I think there are these strengths, and I think it's particularly pronounced in commercial and complex cases and payments, especially when you start to look at cross-border. That's when banks and the SWIFT network and other embedded and existing and reliable payment channels and payment networks. So I think the first thing is not to understand. I think you can move into the next question so quickly. I've got my next point. But so I think if we take that as the first challenge, and in terms of opportunity, I will come back to your point on collaboration. I think, especially in retail, then we've seen the fastest transformation. And I think that's when the most disruption has occurred. I think that aligns with BI's 2025 vision. What we're seeing at the moment around BIFAS, as an example, with real-time payment and importance based on that. And I think banks need to come along on that journey. And one of the things, and one of the most important things, is how they retain those strengths, but increase the ability to interact with fintechs. I don't think you're going to change along the legacy architecture that exists in banks. I think that remains. But I think there can be more opportunities and more steps that can be taken to open up some of that architecture and to, through APIs and through other integration techniques, make it easier to collaborate with fintechs. And I think that is where the opportunity and excitement is. And we see that in other markets with open banking, for example, which is a key step on the journey for banking to be easiest.
Sure, thank you. So in this case, we still see some gaps in terms of the Indonesian banks' readiness. However, with the SPI 2025, I guess the banks should be leveraging on that one, as well as by now we should push more collaboration as well in the industry. It's not only banks with banks; it can be banks with fintech itself, right?
Yeah, and I think it's coming to this direction of being more customer-led than institutional. So the customers want to be able to have that choice, that ability to shift from one provider to another. And you're seeing that in other markets, and I think the roadmap that BI has laid out will take us to that position as well.
Yeah, thank you. Perhaps the next question goes to Kevin. So the payment landscape in Indonesia has been evolving quite dramatically, especially over the past 5 years. Pushed by the high mobile penetration in Indonesia, digital payments are transforming the way we pay and get paid, from making payments to merchants, business to business settlements, to sending money domestically and internationally to be more seamless. However, if I remember, you also tell me the story that your mom even worried about the security, right? So, would you say it's because of there are some unmet customer needs, or it's more on the education, or is it more on the technology? What is the main reason behind it?
Okay, thank you for the questions. So I think first we need to understand that cash has a very huge network effect comparing to digital payment and we are speaking now. Means like everybody has cash now. I believe everybody is sitting here, at least you have 100 to 100,000 in your pocket, somehow from that. And also it's very easy for the next person sitting next to you to receive that cash. So the simple is that cash has that strength, which currently digital payments still unable to beat. So the point is, to be able to migrate this user, migrate this customer, not only like using cashless and put digital payment as a first option is you cannot provide a solution that first can meet or can change whatever strength that cash has, but also you should give something above that. So that's where we should think about it. And also in terms of the customer pay as well, again this is a personal story as well that I would like to share, was I went to one of these regional market, so definitely they don't have fancy EDC or something like that. But I knew people tell that now even the warung market has a QR now. So again, I made some, just something, a small thing, and asked like, okay, can I pay using QR? And he says that, sorry, but I still don't have the QR. I already requested to the bank, but the bank hasn't come back yet. Okay, do you have an EDC then? Like, my thought was like, maybe QR is too fancy for you. EDC has been around more than QR, so you must have EDC. He said, so say far, the EDC is there, but it's still not connected. Okay. So what can I pay? So you can use cash. So he said use cash at first, and or you can transfer it to me. So then I choose transfer. So that's exactly show, technology is one thing, but educating partners who didn't say is another thing. But also, we can see that if we rely on one bank, or if we compete, and okay, I want to own the pie by myself. I think as James also mentions, you cannot do that because there's a lot and too many so-called this MSME that you need to serve, you need to equip with this QR, you need with this so-called EDC and so on and so forth. And the only way to solve that, also I think, maybe as our theme today was collaborations. Again, collaboration, not only between the bank, but also between the non-bank institutions. We did this with this e-money, like or e-wallet players, maybe a PNP as well. When we give them so many options for the customer, more than cash and over, and that's the point the customer will see, there is no this benefit I can get from cash, so better I move. If the one that we offer actually is still as strong as the cash and offer, then people will still think, okay, better to have cash in my wallet just in case the guy can receive this digital payment when I want to pay. So I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, James, do you have anything to add just to answer this kind of needs from the customer?
I mean, honestly, I think I can answer perfectly. I think the responsibilities of banks and financial institutions are to try and develop the tools to give those options to customers. While it's still going to be challenging to access those tools, you're still going to default to cash. And I think, I'm not sure the size of the unbanked population in Indonesia, but as long as that remains significant, then you're going to have a chunk of the population that's going to struggle to access these digital tools. And I think, to your point, all banks or financial institutions have different strategies and different structures, organizational strengths, and ultimately shareholders of their community. And so these organizations naturally will have to focus on their strengths every month. So you're going to see a different response from the BRI of relations and each needs to sort of, I think, play their part within that wider ecosystem.
Okay, perhaps the next question goes to both of you. Just want to ask whether in your current experience or in your previous experience, have you ever been actively participating in payments?
Yeah, I've been involved in quite a few of them. They're never easy. I don't know what you find, but transformation projects into payments always tend to be the most complex, simply because they're the most complex, right? I mean, the number of systems they touch from the core banking to the orchestration layers, to then the central bank, to the remitting and receiving party, remitting and receiving parties. You have numerous stakeholders, and at each stage you've got to make sure that the language is the same, systems talk to each other. and the right protocols being followed at all stages. But I think probably because there's so much riding, right? These things are of critical importance to customers, and when you do transformation, there's always a challenge. You always got to be testing, and deploying, and then fixing any issues or errors that might occur. With payments, especially when you're looking at real-time payments, or you're looking, for example, WFIS implementations, banks are going through at the moment, that requirement to make sure that the security is there, the robustness of the process and the systems in there, the resilience is in there, you've got your right contingency plans, all of that makes it a very, very complex project. So we talk about making sure that banks and other parties have the ability to put those tools in front of customers, but to deploy them, deliver them, it isn't easy.
Okay. From our bank point of view, as I said earlier, we have this two digital product, which is we have this new and also the ICO hand in hand. From them, we actually try to push this digital payment implementation to customer, like continuously. So starting from James Rex Elwes, this WFIS, which I think every bank need to come with for. Also KRIS is the one that a lot of bank and also non-bank currently providing. But also up to the levels, use cases like bill payment, online transfer, top-up e-money, not only from the not only from the saving account as a source of fund, but also we try to use their credit line as a source of fund. So that's we also already implemented. There is one feature into NICO that we just launched 2 months ago called e-commerce payment. So yes, now you can pay a lot of things in e-commerce and get paid directly in e-commerce. But if you would like to make that payment as an installment, so to say, and you can go to NICO and also we will pay for you and we will pay us through installments. So that's also already there. And another thing that we also just soft launched, I think last month, related with the theme of this discussion is this collaborations. So we launched this project called Embedded Banking, where we will bring banking solutions to this digital platform, digital player. So, for example, if you are B2B commerce, or if you are financial management applications, if you are B2B lending, definitely these players do not have the banking license. They cannot open a banking account. Yeah, some of them can open virtual accounts, some of them can handle cash in hand in B2B lending, but it has the limitations I said earlier. Even the e-money also has its limitations as well, which the saving account can solve all of those. So we bring this to the customer, to the partner rather, so they can serve their customer with more features, so the customer can retain. So our strategy now is not only B2C as directly sales to the customer, but also we do this B2B2C, because we believe that, as I said also, we cannot so-called own the pie by ourselves. There are a lot of customers, a lot of these micro SME that still need the banking solutions. Maybe the other banks see that it's not their target market, not their segment. So we will be there directly or indirectly through this banking itself.
Thank you so much. Perhaps I will jump into the future right now. I would like to say that we are currently living through a digital payment revolution, but I suspect that the biggest changes and opportunities are yet to come. How do you see the future of payments globally and perhaps in Indonesia as well? And how can banks together with the industry to shape up the future of the payments in Indonesia, James?
Sure. I think you're right. I think the drop from 70% to 50% is astonishing. But I think the amount of change that's still going to come is probably even more. I mean, I think that the three trends that we'll observe, and you've seen them in many markets, and we've seen them here as well, I think are towards real-time, frictionless, and openness. Those are, for me, those are the three main themes or three main trends that I think are coming through. Real-time, we talked about WFIS, and we will see that extended. I think it will broaden towards cross-border payments as well. We will see further developments in that space over the coming years. And I think that's becoming a hygiene factor, is what everyone is expecting. And the interconnected what we need is at a minimum. I think frictionless is really interesting because I think in different markets now, and in Indonesia as well, you're seeing greater and greater customer expectation for things to be instant. And not just real time, but it's the channels through which you can access it. Through your mobile, through your online banking, being able to track where your payment is internationally, being able to see how that links up with other banking services. There seems that customers these days, I think, have less and less patience than perhaps they did a few years back. And I think one of the interesting challenges is the sort of tension between that and the need for maintaining increased security. Because quite often the two are at odds. You want speedy login, but you need two-factor authentication, you need other forms of encryption. So I think that would be a really interesting tension between frictionless and security over the coming years. And the final one is openness, and it speaks to the thing that we've been talking about around collaboration. But you look around the world and the thing around open banking, and around the fact that regulators and markets and other parts of the world, and what I'm saying on the roadmap for BI as well, is the ability for the customer to port their payments, port their data, and shift seamlessly from one bank to another, from one financial institution to another, is definitely in the future and trend. And I think that will have huge implications. I think it has massive customer satisfaction and massive customer experience benefits. I think it brings opportunities to banks and financial institutions, but I think those can only be unlocked if we improve the way we collaborate across banks and financial institutions.
Yeah, I guess the foundation is already there, meaning that we know that the system for Bank Indonesia 2025 is already regulated the three items that we already mentioned. The first one is the real-time payments. We have WFIS right now, and it's going to be expanded for the cross-border as well. And then the frictionless and the openness actually, I think, is interlinked to each other. We remember that basically BI wanted to avoid the shadow banking in the fintech. So I guess it's more on how banks are going to leverage on that kind of condition. Yeah. Okay, my next question, it can be go to Kevin or James as well. Along with the future of payments, we see that industry able to create the balance between the opportunities and risk control. With the openness, like just James mentioned, using the customer data and amplifying it through the AI and ML. How would banks and non-FI can safeguard the data and create a secure payments in the constantly evolving payments landscape?
Okay, so in terms of this question, there will be always two sections to address. One is from the cybersecurity point of view, where your security of your data. The other one is from the fraud point of view, where accounting over those kind of things is happening. On the security of the data itself, that I believe there's also the thing that I always say to everybody is there's no 100% secure system. There's always a hole, there's always an opportunity to be there where this hacker can enter your system. So there's no condition where everybody is safe and we don't need to improve everything. There's always improvement on that. And on that point of view also, not only the tools that we are talking about, but also the internal team member, the employee. Because if you can assure the gate is closed, but the internal people inside the house is the one that giving out the key, then it's safe. So that's also need to be ensured as well. From that point of view, also put in terms of this encryption and so on. And from the fraud point of view, so yes, we always say that how we can have seamless onboarding system, eKYC, no need to meet the bank agent or everybody to open an account and so on, which give the easiness to the customer. But also at the same time, we need to assure when, for example, the fraud is happening, can we identify the fraud? Can we put measurement, for example, whether the one that asking to change phone number is the one that having an account or not? Can we assure, for example, if usually they transact only like 500,000 rupiah, transfer 8,000, blah, 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 now they transfer 50 million rupiah, is it the same person or not? So that kind of thing is need to be there. Yes, we will create friction, definitely, but at the end of the day, we would like to ensure the money customer put on us the money or the fund of their wealth, their trust to us is properly secured and also accountable for fraudulent activity and so on. So that's.
James, do you want to add?
No, I think Kevin came up quite well. I think the key also is as we're going through this transformation, we talked about what banks and financial institutions have to do. Those concerns, those security, resilience, everything to do with the fundamental health of the systems needs to be designed and built in as a priority from day one. And I think it's making sure that the developers, the coders, the system designers, the architects are working with our organizations, with the risk stewards, working with the regulators, understanding how to ensure that resilience is built in and making that a priority.
Okay, I think we're running out of time. Perhaps I just would like to summarize. I think based on our conversation in the past 30 minutes, I think there are 4 key items that I want to highlight. I think the word that coming out is collaborations, education, security, and seamless. Okay, so before we end up the session, I just want to ask the floor if there is any question that you would like to ask to our panelists. Okay, going once, twice. Okay, if not, then I think this is the end of the session. Thank you so much.